All right. Hello, everyone. We're going to be doing another solution to a CCC question. This is called Quadrant Selection from 2017 CCC, and this is the junior level 1 question. In this problem, you'll be given a point. The X and the Y will be on different input lines, but what I'm going to do is, well, how would you handle it if they were on a same input line? And our job is to take that point and determine the quadrant that we were in. So originally, the problem would have you do something like this, where X would be integer input and Y would be integer input, like so. They would give you the X value and the Y value in two separate lines as two different inputs, so you can just run the double input function. So, for example, if we were to run it, fit 11, like that. If we were to run it, we can do like 10 and negative 11, like that, and we were able to do like 10 enter, negative 11 enter to test your program in this J1 question. But most often, a CCC grader will often have something like this, where they have multiple data points or values separated by either a comma or a space, and we're going to learn how to handle that kind of situation here. So I'm just going to write original input is going to be this, and we're going to write a modified input of our point being input of in a format of string of 10, 11. And we're going to learn how to convert something like this into integers of themselves and separate them by a space. Okay, like so. So at this point, what I want to do is say that, well, I'm going to update my point to be equal to whatever was prior and use split based on a space. We are running the dot split method from the string object class, and argument is a white space. So what this does, it will convert 10 and negative 11, like that kind of example, into a list of a string of 10 and string 11. So basically, what the split method does is it takes a string and it will split it based on where it can find the given provided pattern, and I provided a white space here. And every time it sees it, it will consider whatever left of it was a single item and create a new item afterwards until it sees another pattern that it is looking for. Therefore, we get some sort of like a separation of what we would wanted in terms of separating these. Instead of it being a single string, we have a list with multiple items of the numbers that we wanted. Now, one problem is that this is a string of 10 and a string of negative 11. I want them to be integers, okay? So what we can do is, let's say we can have a fixed point of an empty list, and we can say for value in point, I can go fixed point, take my empty list and append to add a value to the end of my list. I can say the integer of that value. I am now adding the integer equivalent of a value to this fixed point. So this would be considered a long form solution to converting a list with numeric strings to list of integers. Okay, and we will learn how to do that later. Another way that I like to do is, well, I'm going to convert point and say that, well, I'm going to use the mapping function. What a mapping function does, it applies a function that you provide on the very first argument to every individual item in a collection, in this case a list. So we're going to say I'm going to apply this function called int, which is a converter, right, typecasting function, onto all the values of my point. Right, so this 10, what this will do is make this list of 10 and negative 11 into 10 and negative 11. with the catch. What map does, it doesn't maintain the list, but rather it creates a new object, something called a iterable object in Python. Iterable object is usually something that you can't print out and see individual values of, but you can look through all the values inside that object individually through like a for loop. So since we want a list back, you need to now convert whatever map made into a list. So if we were to map this all out, sorry for the joke, if we were to list out all the things that happens, first point is this. Then it's going to turn into an iterable object of 10 and negative 11 like that. And then we listified it, so we get this return. So it's going through 2 transitions. Okay, while individual items were turned into an integer thanks to us mapping the integer function to all the values in our given argument here. Okay, so if we were to print point, we should be able to see what we get. Now, if this is a little too complicated for you, you can always use something like this, where they will basically do the same thing. So we'll clear, we'll go Python vid 11.py, and let's say I'm inputting a value of 10 and negative 11 like so, and we get a list that has integer values of 10 and a second value of negative 11, and we'll call that x and y. Okay. All right. Awesome. If we want to do something super cool that we can do in Python as well, there's something called variable unpacking. Basically, our point is a list that has 2 values. So if I wanted to create 2 variables with those values from point, I can say x and y are equal to point. Now, if I were to print a formatted string of x is x, and print formatted string of y is y, let's see what happens. Okay, save this code. We're going to run 10 with negative 11 again. We're going to now get x is assigned to 10 and y is assigned to 11. This is a really nice feature when you start to do multivariable loops in a for loop, and we'll learn that way later in our future. But right now, it's going to be very useful for us because I don't want to access point at index of 0, or I don't want to access point at index of 1. I just want to give them an easier xy variable so that I can just analyze the x value and the y value for us to process which quadrant they're in. So I'm just going to leave those there, and then we'll do now our quadrant selection. Okay, we're going to say if x is greater than 0, we're going to write a little pass. This is a placeholder code in Python. This is really useful if you are just setting up your if and else statements or while loops and for loops. I often write pass like that. And here I'm going to write pass as well. Okay, so we know for sure that neither of our x and y values will be 0, so I can just have a binary statement of just comparing my x value. Okay, now inside here, I'm just going to comment that out. We can say if y is greater than 0, x is greater than 0, y is greater than 0, we know that we're in print quadrant 1. And let's make a nicer variable. We can say that the point of x and y is in quadrant 1, like that. And then otherwise, we're going to be in quadrant number 4 because x is still positive, but the y is negative. We're going to say it's quadrant 4. Inside this here, we're going to go if y is greater than 0. We're going to say we get to copy all this. But x is in the negative, but y is positive. We're in quadrant 2. And at this point, we'll be in quadrant 3 if all of these were false. In this question, we have learned how to deal with a situation where we get to input our values like so by using a split function, or sorry, split method. Split method is only available when our value that we're using the split on is a string. And the split method takes a pattern and it looks for a pattern and it starts splitting all the items that is surrounding that pattern. That's why when we had a 10, 11 like this, it was able to convert it into a list. That's what the split method returns or creates. And it created a list of individual items of the strings where it had the spaces in between. Then we learned this, a multiple functions happening at once, but the map function, what it does, it takes individual items in a list and applies whatever function name or whatever built-in function or even a custom function that you wrote and applies it to all the individual items in a like a collection. In this case, it was a list for us. So it converted 10 to an integer, converted 11 to an integer. But the problem was the map function only creates something called an iterable object, which will contain the values, but it's something that we cannot index or use. Therefore, to help us out, we use a typecasting of converting the result of the map function into a list so that we can get something that we can work with. All right. And next we learned another thing called variable unpacking, where if we have a list, or I think this is only for list tuples and whatnot. I haven't tested it with the string, but basically if something has multiple items, we can assign each item to multiple variables as long as it's going to follow its proper order. So X is going to get the value 10 here and Y is going to get the value 11 from this result. And it's going to help us have a more fitting variable names for us to help and do our logic. And then the quadrant selection logic was very simple. We're saying if the X was greater than 0, we're going to look at these two conditions for the Y. If X was in the negatives, we're going to also look at these conditions for the Y to have them in their proper quadrants of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. And as always, thank you for watching. I know this video is a little fast, so I do recommend that you pause, go back, watch it over and over again. And as always, if you have questions, you can always ask me. Anywho, stay classy.